spiritual perfection, a transcendental journey. So we can look at the journey in so many ways. It's a journey of shifting our consciousness. It's a journey of consciousness. Ultimately, it is actually a journey of consciousness, which begins with Shraddha. Ado Shraddha. It begins with that. Shraddha means having the faith that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and we all are his parts and parcels. Therefore, we have an eternal relationship with him. It's like a relationship between the father and children. And in a way, it is even deeper than that relationship. Like the relationship with our parents is a physical relationship. But with Krishna, it's a spiritual relationship. We can look at it in that light, the relationships that we have with our parents or had with our parents. The relationship we have a similar relationship with Krishna. Rather, even more real, even more profound, and on top of everything, that relationship is eternal. Our relationships with our parents will terminate, will cease to exist when we go away or they go away. And then that relationship ends. We don't even remember. But with Krishna, that relationship is eternal. So when I thought of the journey, I actually thought of the journey of Gopa Kumar in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. How many of you read Brihad Bhagavatamrita? How many of you took part in my seminars on Brihad Bhagavatamrita? Anyway, so Brihad Bhagavatamrita is written by Srila Sanatana Goswami. And it has two parts. First part is showing Narad Muni's search for the greatest recipient of Krishna's mercy, or the greatest devotee. And the second part is a journey of a cowherd boy from Govardhan called Gopa Kumar. So Gopa Kumar was a cowherd boy in Govardhan, and he used to spend his time like with other cowherd boys tending the cows. And they all used to see that one person who was quite unusual. Sometimes he used to laugh, sometimes he used to cry, sometimes he used to roll on the ground, sometimes he used to dance. And that person was very affectionate towards them. And whenever he would see them, he would embrace them. And they also were very fond of him. Whenever he would see them, whenever they would see him, they would offer him some milk or other things. So this is how they had a very sweet relationship with that person. Now one day when Gopa Kumar was alone, this person told him, go take your bath in the Jamuna and I will give you something very, very precious, the most precious object. So Gopa Kumar, according to his instruction, went, took a bath in Jamuna. came back to him. And so then he gave him the Gopal mantra, and he told him to chant that mantra and meditate on that mantra. And while he was instructing how to meditate on the mantra, he fainted. And when he came back to his senses, he just got up and walked away. Now, being instructed by him in this way, Gopa Kumar just kept on chanting that mantra. And while chanting the mantra, he developed such attachment to chanting that he lost interest for everything, playing with his friends and tending the cows. And all he wanted is just to chant and chant the mantra, meditate on the mantra. And one day he felt that his situation there was detrimental to his chanting. So one day he just left. And while wandering, while traveling, he came to a kingdom, capital of a king. It's a beautiful city, and there was a beautiful temple. And he became so attracted to that temple and the deities in the temple that he just kept on staying there. Like during the day, he would just watch how the Lord is being worshipped. And at night, he would just lie down in one corner and sleep. So in this way, he was spending his time. And in the meantime, the king of that country died. And he didn't have any successor to the throne. So the ministers started to look for a suitable candidate for the throne to become the king. And in the person of Gopa Kumar, they found all the auspicious signs. So they made him the king. And although Gopa Kumar became the king, but his whole attention was to promote the service to the Lord and awareness of the Lord's mercy. And so in this way, he was spending his time. And at some point, he saw that he got to know about the Lord on the bank of the saltwater ocean in a place called Niladri. And there the Lord is so merciful, and he distributes his prasad, mercy, in such a way that that prasad never becomes stale or rotten, or no, even there may be stale, but everybody takes it with full faith on his Mahaprasad. So hearing about that, he wanted to go to that place. So he went there. And there also, he started to spend his time just being in the temple all the time. And there also, when the king died and his son didn't want to take up the responsibility of ruling the kingdom, the ministers saw Gopa Kumar. Actually, those days, by seeing a person, one could make out his exalted spiritual position. So they found all the auspicious signs of a king in Gopa Kumar, so they made him the king. So then Gopa Kumar heard about another place called heaven, Swarga Loka, where the king of heaven, Indra, has the Lord as his younger brother, and the Lord receives the service from Indra with his own hands, and with his he receives the gifts and offerings from Indra with his own hands. So being curious about that, Gopakumar just desired. So here we are seeing that how the mantra actually fulfills the desires. Whatever Gopakumar was desiring, by the potency of chanting of the mantra, that was happening. So then Gopakumar got elevated to heavenly planet. And there also at one point, Indra, being afraid of a Brahmana's curse, just disappeared. So the guru of the heavenly planet, Brihaspati, made Gopakumar the king of Swarga of Indra. Although he became Indra, but he was not interested in any kind of enjoyment in the heavenly planet. Rather, he was even not living in the palace of Indra. He was spending his time in the garden there called Nandankana. And then he saw one day, some very, very powerful personalities came. And all the demigods were offering obeisances to them. And so he wondered who they were. And then he was told that they were the sages from an even higher planet called Maharloka. And as Gopakumar desired to go there, he was elevated to Maharloka. Then, at the time of annihilation, the heat reached even the Maharloka, and everybody was leaving Maharloka and they went to the next higher planetary system, Janaloka. So there you would see that all these sages, they're absorbed in performing sacrifice, and being pleased with their sacrifice, the Lord would personally appear and he would fulfill their desires, spiritual desires. And then he was elevated to Tapaloka, and then he was elevated to Satyaloka, the abode of Lord Brahma. And there also he got the position of Lord Brahma. And there he met his guru, and his guru showed him. Actually, he met his guru once before when he was in Jagannath Puri. And so guru actually instructed him further. And in Brahmaloka also he was instructed by his guru, and he instructed him to go to the earth planet and to Vrindavan, and he performed Sankit. He was asked to go to him Vrindavan, and so he went back to Vrindavan. And by the time so many kalpas went by, that the whole earth planet became totally different. But Vrindavan remained the same, just the way it was before. Only those who are there at that time, they are not there. But the place remained the same. That shows that Vrindavan is not destroyed at the time of annihilation. Vrindavan remains the same. And then when he was, and then he got, as he chanted, he found himself moving with a tremendous speed. And he saw that all these planetary systems where he lived before, they all gradually disappeared out of his sight. Then he came to the covering of the material nature, 7 coverings, covering of earth. There he found that earth personified is worshipping Varahadev. Then he came to the region of water. There he found the water personified Varundev is worshipping Matsavatar. And in this way, he was going after one after another layer. And finally, he came to the layer of Maya. And there he found that Maya Devi is worshipping Mohini Murti of the Lord. And then he prayed to Maya Devi that she blessed him so that he can serve her brother properly. So region that's the time it was such glaring light that he came to, that he felt that he was losing his. He remembered Lord Jagannath, and then he heard the sound of some kirtan, and then he saw one personality riding on a bull, is descending surrounded by his associates, and his bodily complexion was camphor white, and he was surrounded by his associates, and they were singing his glory. And they requested him to also join their party. They described that this is Lord Shiva, and they described that there's no difference between the Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Lord Shiva. But he declined their invitation. Then he came to the gate of Vaikuntha. There he saw a four-armed person, and he thought him to be Narayan. And as he started to glorify him, that person became very embarrassed and he ran inside. So then eventually he was taken to the Supreme Personality of Godhead there, Narayan, and he told them how to recognize him by seeing the Srivatsa on his chest, and Vaijayanti and Kaustubh on his neck. And so there he was elevated in Vaikuntha, and the residents of Vaikuntha were asking him, "You have come to Vaikuntha, why don't you assume your Vaikuntha form? Why are you still maintaining your earthly form with two hands and as a cowherd boy?" But the Gopa Kumar didn't want to accept that offer. He preferred to maintain his cowherd boy's identity. Just he didn't have any interest in having the four-armed form. So in this way, then from Vaikuntha, he was elevated to Ayodhya. There he was having the association of Lord Ramchandra. Then he was further elevated to Dwarka. There he got the association of Krishna, Dwarkadhish. The queens were treating him like their own son, so much affection. And there, still his heart was not fully content. So one day Narad Muni came there, and seeing him, Narad Muni asked him, "What's the matter with you? You are in Dwarka, but still, and the Lord is showering so much of his mercy upon you. Still, how come your heart is not content? Why aren't you fully satisfied?" So then he confided in Narad Muni that yes, he can see that the Lord is bestowing so much mercy, the queens are bestowing so much affection to him, but his heart is actually yearning for a boy who wears a peacock feather on his head, and he has a flute, and when he plays the flute, it's so attractive, it makes one practically swoon in ecstasy. So then Narad Muni told him that, "Oh, your attraction is actually for Krishna of Vrindavan." And Narad Muni told him to go back to Vrindavan. To go to Vrindavan, you have to go back to the earth planet. And in Bhoma Vrindavan, in earthly Vrindavan, you perform Sankirtan, chanting the name of the Lord with all the heart, all the love of your heart. And that will qualify you to go to Vrindavan. And so he went back to the earth planet again. And in Vrindavan, in the forest of Vrindavan, he was always chanting the name of Krishna with all the love of his heart. Hey Govinda, hey Gopal, hey Nanda Nandan, hey Gopinath. And in this way he was spending his time. Then one day he saw Krishna, and just seeing him, he just went to meet him. And he practically caught him by his chadar, by his outer chadar, silk chadar, and it slipped out of his hand and Krishna disappeared. And his condition was getting the most precious wealth, and then he lost it. And he fainted. His body rolled down to Jamuna. And when he regained his senses, he found that he was moving with a tremendous speed. And then he arrived in Vrindavan. He saw some girls picking flowers, and they all were singing the glory of Krishna. So he asked them whether they could tell him where Krishna was, but they didn't hear. They didn't respond. And he felt that probably they are deaf, or they're so absorbed in that person about whom they're singing that they don't have any other external consciousness. Then eventually one old lady directed him to the house of Nanda Maharaj. And then he saw that everyone was looking at one direction. And he could hear the sound of the laughter of the boys and mooing of the cows, and dust was flying. And then he saw that Krishna, Balaram with the cowherd boys are coming back with the cows. When he saw Krishna, he ran to meet Krishna. And Krishna also ran to meet him. And Krishna embraced him. And in ecstasy, Krishna fainted. So when Krishna fainted, everybody suspected, oh, is that some agent of Kamsa that came to harm Krishna? And all the cowherd boys became very alarmed. The gopis started to cry. But Balaram came, and seeing Krishna's condition, he could understand. So he asked Gopa Kumar to call out to Krishna by his name. And as Gopa Kumar did that, Krishna came back to his senses. And that's how Gopa Kumar entered into Vrindavan. Yes, in a way, this is the journey back home. It's a very sweet and wonderful transcendental journey. And that is our ultimate spiritual destination. And that's what we have committed ourselves. So let's just be fixed up. It's a long way, but at least our journey started. We received the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. We received the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And with faith, we are chanting. And let us see how Krishna leads us in our course back to the spiritual sky. Hare Krishna, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari. Does anybody have any question? Who is monitoring? Pravanu, do you have a question? Krishna Krishna, you're monitoring? Okay, Shamananda, yeah, Shamananda Krishna.
Very much. Thank you so much for bestowing your mercy upon us, your South African disciples, and being so kind to us, giving special darshan. Maharaj, I have two questions, if it's okay.
Yes, sure.
First question is, in the beginning of your wonderful narration, you explained that Gopa Kumar got the Gopal mantra from his guru. So what was the cause of that?
What's that?
What was the cause of Gopa Kumar getting the Gopal mantra from his guru in the very beginning?
Yeah. So Gopal mantra is one of the Gayatri that actually gives relationship to Krishna. Okay.
And the second question, Guru Maharaj, is there a similar journey in store for us as members of ISKCON and part of the Gaudiya Sampradaya? Is it a similar journey?
It will depend. Actually, in that respect, Prabhupada also said that not that everybody will go back the same way. Different devotees will go back in different ways. And Prabhupada did say that with some devotees, they'll just wake up in the spiritual sky as if they woke up from a dream. And, all that happened here in this material nature will just appear to be disappear like a dream. Just wake up in the spiritual sky. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I was going to ask the same question about the Gopal mantra. It is the 6 Gayatri mantra that we have, right? It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
And it's the same mantra that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was given by Ishvara Puri?
I think so. This mantra is a secret. But since we are in that line, in the same line, and we have to, but I think, allow whatever it may be, but I think Ishwar Puri gave him the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting. And when he met with Prakashananda Saraswati in Benares, he actually told him that seeing me as a fool, Guru More Murkho Dekhi, he chastised me, Korilo Shashan, and he told him to just chant this mantra. And by chanting this mantra, I don't know what happened. I became like mad. So I went and I asked my guru, what kind of mantra you gave me that made me mad? So then my guru said that is the perfection of chanting this mantra. So if we take the cue from that incident, then it seems that his guru Ishwar Puri gave him this mantra. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Krishna Charu.
Again, wonderful seminar. Really, actually, we're more in touch with you now than actually had been here.
Charan, your mic is not working properly. Yeah, just now it's switched off. I mean the mute.
I think we've been muted.
Yeah.
Is that okay now?
Yeah. Now it's okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, I was just saying thank you so much, Guru Maharaj, for the seminars, Uddhav Gita, and we're so happy that we're getting to see you. It seems that we're seeing you more often now. So, Guru Maharaj, I wanted to ask, you mentioned on Gopa Kumar's journey, when he was in the Vaikuntha planet and he spoke to Narad Muni, he had the realization that he wanted to see this young cowherd boy with the flute. So I don't remember you mentioning it in any of your other seminars. Was this at the first time that he had the vision in his heart, or was it something that he had in his heart throughout his journey, that his desire to see
he met
Krishna?
Narad Muni. You see, he met Narad Muni, and Narad Muni instructed him to come back to the earthly Vrindavan and do Sankirtan, and that's how to go to Vrindavan. Yeah. No, in my seminar, I made it clear.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Point actually is that from Vaikuntha, even all the way from Dwarka, you cannot really go to Vrindavan, right? To go to Vrindavan, you have to come back to the earth planet, to home of Vrindavan, and perform Sankirtan. And by means of Sankirtan, one becomes eligible to go to Vrindavan. Thank you. Yes, Hare Krishna, Himavati.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, thank you so much for the wonderful classes. We really learning so much. My question is, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he advises that every Ekadasi we should take stock of our spiritual life. So Guru Maharaj, I wanted to know, how does one do that?
Well, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that you check how much progress you made from previous Ekadasi to this Ekadasi. You see, like take note what you have done. I mean, what was your degree of progress in the previous Ekadasi and how much progress you made within these 15 days. This way, from Ekadasi to Ekadasi, you take your step forward. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, all glory to you.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada. Jai.
Jai. Guru Prabhupada.